We're in the second week of our June theme called the Fresh Living Challenge. And the idea here is that as a community, we can take up practices and principles that bring our bodies into alignment with the divine blueprint that we're actually endowed with. And English for what I just said is most of us want to make some kind of changes with our bodies, and it's easier to start stuff in community than it is to do it in isolation. So we're doing real simple stuff, and everybody has the option to play along. And I just realized I forgot the commitment cards. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's right. We'll punt. So the theme this week, or the talk title this week, is called Nature. And we are drawing upon the writings of the great mystical writer John Muir, who was a naturalist in the last century. Everybody know who John Muir was? Right. For those of you that don't, let me tell you a little bit about him. Well, let me start with a quote. "I only went out for a walk and finally concluded to stay out till sundown, for going out, I found I was really going in." John Muir was born in Scotland in the middle of the 1800s. His family moved to the North American continent, to Wisconsin. And it was one of those really Christian, work ethic, back-breaking environments that he grew up in. And so when he got to his early 20s, he decided that he was going to start waking up at 1 a.m. so that he could study and get himself out of this very difficult life. And so he actually invented a thing that would dump him out of bed at 1 a.m. That's dedication, right? And he was also an inventor, and one night he was working on something, and it rebounded, hit him in the eye, and he lost the vision in one eye. And he was heartbroken because he felt he was closed forever to God's beauty, and so he went into a dark room, and he stayed there, and he vowed that if his sight ever returned, that he would spend it in appreciation for the beauty of God's creation. Spirit's creation. And that actually came to pass. He had a sympathetic blindness in the second eye, by the way. So he took off and spent most of the remainder of his life in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, and specifically in the area that we now call Yosemite. And in his writings, there are three mystical themes. And so I'm going to just cover those in a very abbreviated way and see if we can mine for meaning here. So the first theme in John Muir's writings is there is a unity or a wholeness and a oneness in ourselves and in nature. So a unity or wholeness in ourselves and in nature. And I actually pulled a quote from one of the men that he greatly admired, Ralph Waldo Emerson. "Most people are on the world, not in it. They have no conscious sympathy or relationship to anything about others, undiffused, separate, and rigidly alone like marbles of polished stone, touching but separate." I lied. That actually is a John Muir quote. So most people are on the world, not in it. What does that mean? That means that, well, you know what it means because you've been there. Where you just wake up or you come conscious in some moment and you realize that you are completely disconnected. So the focus today is really about nature and how it has the capacity to nurture our bodies. I could do a whole other talk on nature itself, but I really want to keep myself a little bit focused here. I know that'll come as a surprise to most of you. Undiffused, separate, and rigidly alone, like marbles of polished stone. That's no way to live, right? And let me give you a theory that the world according to Chris Terry about the effect that has. We're disconnected from everything else, and our entire world is us. Me, 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 me. How I look, how I think, how I feel, what I do. Right? And so I want to remind us all, including me, that although we are the center of our own universes, we are not the center of the universe. And there is great relief in remembering that. Right? I think that when we get disconnected, we suffer from something that I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous. They called it obsession of self and perennial discontent. Obsession. So I get obsessed with everything about me, 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 me. And the perennial discontent, which just basically means recurring discontent, comes when I've got nothing to focus on but the me, 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 and then I'm going to spend my time finding problems with the me, 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 me. Are you bored already? Because I'm like totally bored. I get bored when there's nothing to focus on but me, but I forget that. Right? And so what nature does is gives us an opportunity to get right-sized. So we are part of something that is big and grand and mirrors our magnificence. We don't get that sitting in our living room disconnected. John Muir's second point is that nature is a path to oneness and God. In the early 80s, there's a guy that introduced a term called biophilia. Biophilia. And he defined it as the idea that connections that human beings subconsciously... I'm having trouble with my words today. He defined this idea as the connections that human beings subconsciously seek with the rest of life. Bio, meaning life. Philia, love. Biophilia. What that guy, his name was E.O. Wilson, was saying is that there is something within us that we're actually hardwired for connection with other life forms, with other people, with something like a tree or a dog, right? That there is something in us that is best right-sized when we are in relation. And although I don't want to harp on it, I want to go back to the previous point, which is that when we are disconnected, we lose that sense of right-sizedness. Let me use Alexis's beautiful, beautiful prayer to indicate or to sort of flesh this out. So if we were to look just at Orlando and the fact that 50 people were killed and 53 were injured, if we solely focus on that, it is devastating, absolutely devastating. And for those that are close to the situation, it is devastating. Right? What Alexis did in her prayer and what Candace's song did was to bring us to a place where we could hold that, but see a past and a future and claim that something good is coming from it. Do you see how it creates a perspective that was not present in just this incident that occurred at 2 a.m. this morning? So this idea of nature as a path to oneness in God, it provides us that perspective to be connected and, I would say, nourished in a way that we don't get sitting on the couch. So I'm cutting out a lot of my talk. I want to make sure I haven't lost anybody. Do I need to clarify anything? Am I zeroing in okay? Cool. Okay, so John Muir's third point. Physical and spiritual healing can be attained through contact with nature and nature's beauty. Physical and spiritual healing can be attained through contact with nature and nature's beauty. You know, it's such an interesting thing to me that so often people who have mystical inclinations and mystical experiences can tell us things that it takes science about 150 years to catch up on. Right? It is true. So I want to tell you all a little bit about some research. The bulk of this research comes out of Stanford. For anybody who's interested in it, please see me after the service. I'll give you some more information. Okay. I'm going to read this to you because I think it's simpler. Neural activity in the subgenual prefrontal cortex, which is like straight in the center of your head, right about there. A brain region active during rumination, repetitive thought focused on negative emotions, decreased among participants who walked in nature versus those who walked in an urban environment. Okay. This region of the brain, it's really important. It's actually its importance is becoming more well known or better understood. So it affects mood, it affects our endocrine systems, it affects self-esteem, and it affects our ability to process sadness. So we have this area of the brain that simply walking outdoors instead of walking indoors affects. Simply walking outdoors instead of walking indoors. Helps with Alzheimer's. I've got appetite, sleep, memory. Did I say memory? I think I need to walk outside. Okay. So here's my point in all this. There is something within us that if we will get out, no matter the heat, no matter the rain, and just spend a little bit of time in a park close to our house, that it can regulate us and create in us a sense of health and well-being that we did not have previous. 10 minutes. 10 minutes walking in nature can literally change your brain. Would you do that? Let me see a show of hands of people that'll do that. Good. Because I forgot the commitment cards. You all just signed your commitment card. So here's what that means. That means that we're going to get a piece of paper, and I'm going to have you write down your name and your email address, and you're going to get an affirmation about nature every morning this coming week. Don't try to run out of here without giving us your name and email address because I don't have a good memory, as I've just illustrated. But I see you. I do see you. I see all y'all. Right? And that's the practice. And the cool thing about that is you're going to walk in nature for 10 minutes every day this week. I feel like I should be swinging a little watch. You are going to walk in nature for 10 minutes. But everybody else is too. Or maybe just half of everybody else. So you're not walking alone. We should write a song about that. Sorry. Okay. 10 minutes a day can change your brain. 10 minutes a day can regulate your mood, lessen depression, affect your hormones. 10 minutes walking outside. And as you do that, you can, here's what I want you to remember. Here's what I want you to remember when you're doing that. You are the center of your own universe. But you're not the center of the universe. You are a shining, beautiful jewel on the web of being. Treat yourself like it. Instead of walking for 10 minutes criticizing yourself for what you're not doing, walk for 10 minutes appreciating yourself for what you are doing. I am complete. I do want to tell you that you're going to get an opportunity to do your first 10 minutes today. And so Celia, who's my partner in crime for this month, Celia is our resident health coach and all-around extraordinary human being. She is going to lead those who choose to go on a walk in this beautiful park that's right behind us. It won't be a power walk, a speed walk. You're not going to need like sprinting shoes, right? Right? Just to set the week off on a positive note. So please do join Celia, and please do now join me in a prayer. I'm going to start this prayer with a quote by Ernest Holmes, the founder of our philosophy. My eyes behold the complete and perfect in all creation. I see the perfect. There is nothing else to see, and no suggestion of otherness can enter my thought. I know only the perfect and the complete. I am perfect and complete now. I see the good. So let's pray. What I'm knowing right here and right now, that there is one power, one presence, one unified whole. Physics tells us that. The mystics tell us that. John Muir just told us that. One power, one presence, one life, God's life, living itself in, as, and through each of us right now. We, each of us, are all God, but none of us is all that God is. And so as we reach out to other people, as we feel our way out to encompass the trees and the grasses, we are actually deep reaching unto deep, God reaching unto God, connecting itself, reconnecting itself, rediscovering itself. One life, God's life, my life, your life, all life, right here, right now, no exceptions. I don't care what's happening. I don't care what the conditions are. I don't care what our doubts are, and I don't care if somebody in this room or anywhere doesn't believe it. It doesn't change it. One life, God's life, the life of all, and so it is.